is me, Maryam, and also known as Maryam Data Science Valley. So today, and I am your host, and welcome to our show, Maryam Talk Show. So today we are having a incredible guest, and his name is Michael, a leading coach and trainer focused on the license. So, without wasting time, let's welcome him. Hi, Michael, how are you?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. Wonderful to meet you here.
Thank you so much for giving a precious soul time. So, firstly, I request you can you introduce yourself for our audience and for me.
Certainly. So, I'm Michael. As you can see, Resiliency for Life is the name of my business. And I talk to people about what is resilience, how do you get more resilience, and why is resilience important. And resilience is our ability to deal with life's setbacks, adversities, and failures, stay a little safer, have a higher quality experience, and often, not always, but often have a better quality outcome. So, whether it's dealing with a chronic illness, failing a grade, having a financial issue, having a relationship issue, etc., anything that's big and overwhelming, resiliency can help us have a slightly better to a much better experience and can often impact the outcomes. So that's what I love to talk about. That's what I like to teach. I'm a cancer survivor on my fourth chance at life, two chronic illnesses. I've had a few experiences. So I like to share the skills that help reduce the impact of those things on us so we move forward in life safer and happier and often better outcomes.
Okay, that's really good. So, my question is, can you share the movement or experiences that inspire you to dedicate your life to license coaching?
Good question. Yes, absolutely. My chronic health issue at 17 years old, a doctor with good intentions said, there's nothing you can do. Well, in my family, my parents, my grandparents, my aunties and uncles, that's an illegal statement. So, no, there was nothing I could do to cure my health issues. But in my family, if you have an issue that you feel overwhelmed by, ask somebody else that's going through it. Go to worship and pray on it. Ask for help. Anyways, I went to the library where before we had Google, I met a librarian with a master's degree in library sciences and information. Those people are worth their weight in gold. And she said, "Oh, Michael, what are you looking for?" I said, "I'm looking for research on anything to do with dealing with health issues, chronic health issues, to manage them." I wasn't looking for a miracle pill and a cure. I just wanted to manage it better because the pain was pretty intense sometimes. And what did she say? "Oh, Michael, that's interesting. You're not the only one. Did you bring some nickels, dimes, and quarters for photocopying? Will you be using this for business? Let's go." And using the Dewey Decimal System, because it was a long time ago, she took me right to the information because she had a great memory and she knew exactly where it was. And that's when I discovered there was research to help chronically ill have less symptoms, less intensity, less frequency if they practice certain rational and emotional skills, not to deny the pain, not to deny the illness, not a cure, but to cope better. And so I was one of the fortunate ones that within a year of practicing, I went a year plus with no symptoms. I still had the illness under the microscope, but my IBD, inflammatory bowel disease experts, was really surprised. And I said, "Well, why don't you talk about this mental health, physical health program?" "Oh, we don't do that." So I never said it to his face, but to me, he instantly became an expensive plumber because how we think and feel has an impact on our physical health. So when we put our hands together in prayer and we practice skills, it's amazing what we can do. So that got me really started. That made me go, wow, this doesn't contradict what I learned in martial arts. It doesn't contradict my faith. In fact, it seems to supplement it. It's aligned with what my parents and grandparents have been teaching me. Why wouldn't I do this? So that's what got me really excited about it.
Okay, it's inspiring to hear that your journey came from noticing real struggles and
Thank you.
wanting to create tangible solutions. It makes your work feel very human centered. So my next question is, Michael, many people say license is about being strong, but we know it's more nuanced than that. Can you share your perspective on what license truly means and why it's such a critical skill in today's fast-paced, unpredictable world?
Wow, what a question. It Yes, resiliency is so much more than being strong. If anything, resilience is about admitting that you're not making it on your own in your current methods of dealing with life. So, one of the skills that I was taught along the way, and I finally took a course with an Olympic mental health performance coach, he calls it disidentification. Well, when you get a diagnosis like I did with my chronic health issue, I had two sets of pants. I had fat pants because I was all bloated and bleeding at 17. Then I had skinny pants. I was only a 29-inch waist. I was 140 odd pounds. I wasn't big. He said, "Do you have the problem or does the problem own you?" It's okay to start here. I was pretty overwhelmed when the doctor said, "There's nothing you can do." However, I admitted that I felt helpless and hopeless. And then it was like, oh, yes, I've been raised not to live in the world of helpless and hopeless. It's okay to feel it for a while and visit. Don't live there. So over here, mastery and acceptance. What do I need to do to move forward with a little more dignity, a little more pain, a little less frequency of this stuff? I found the research. I admitted that I've been living in helpless and hopeless because the doctor told me. Well, I wasn't looking for a cure because they said there was no cures. I was looking for a way to manage where I felt a little more human. So admitting that I felt helpless and hopeless was a good start. And then it was like, okay, if I was building a house, I got to put in new foundations. The current ones aren't working. So instead of the illness owning me, I own the illness. Yes, it might bite me and hurt, but I decided that I could get 8 hours a day or more of no pain or less pain if I practiced the skills. So the first year, it was touch and go, but I tried to practice 5 to 6 days a week. And second year, somewhere in there, no symptoms. Quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. So yes, it's about being strong, but it's about admitting that you're not coping well. And it's about being vulnerable and saying, how do I move forward despite? It's like me and my language issues and grammar issues. This brain is not wired to do spelling well. So I failed several subjects along the way because some teachers thought I should have perfect spelling and grammar. That's their right. They're the classroom expert. And other teachers said to me years later, I didn't care if you couldn't spell. I wasn't in a class teaching spelling. I was teaching you, pick a topic, history, economics, etc. And I got one class, I got an 89, even though my spelling was atrocious. But the teacher said, Michael, you deserve the 89. I know you don't spell badly because you're sloppy. You spell badly because your brain doesn't work that way. But you notice in class, you got the best answers often because you know how to think and analyze. So do you own the problem? Does the problem own you or do you own the problem? Once I arrived at I own my problems, what can I do about it? What can I manage? What do I have to give away? What can I prey on? It started to be much better.
Okay, that's really insightful. It's made me think about how many of us underestimate the depth of license. So my next question about that. You create the I am, I have, I do framework. which has helped countless people. Can you walk us through each pillar and explain why it resonates so deeply with those struggling to regain control in their lives?
Great question. These are 4 pillars that I experienced when I was a retail expert. I would come to your store, maybe you're the assistant manager, and you'd say, Michael, I have a new hire. They did well in the interview, but if you're familiar with a famous childhood story with Robin and Pooh Bear, one of them's like Eeyore the donkey. They're tired. They're barely doing anything. Well, maybe they're depressed. Maybe they're going through a lifetime struggle. So I would coach them and say, so let's talk about I am, I have, I can, I do. I didn't call it that in the 80s, but the research gave me those nice, neat phrases from the 90s and early 2000s. So what do you have? You got a training manual. I'm here to help you understand it and implement it. So I have. What do you have? You got good health. You got safe transportation to get here. So some would say it's a gratitude list. And so take them through what skills and what education level they have. So I have. I am. What are you? I used to joke that I was a lean, keen sales consulting machine. Very corny, but my goal was, if it was your store, to help you have great profits, no hassles, staff that were self-task driven because you gave them the task, you told them the outcomes, and you didn't have to manage them and babysit them, regardless of whether they were 16 or 64. So take them through the I have, the I am. What are you? I'd say to the employee. You want to get a raise? You want to be an assistant manager? You want to be a team leader? Like, what are you? Have some goals. I am, I have, I can. What are you capable of doing? I remember one lady who, after 2 weeks, suddenly was really sad. And it was none of my business, her personal life. But I said to her one day, so you're a new hire. I hear great things. And it's none of my business, but you seem to be sad. Her husband ran away from her with his caregiver when he got healthy. So she had every right to be sad. So we talked through that. I gave her some tasks with the manager's permission, and she became assistant store manager in 2 years, because I am, I have, I can, and she implemented I do. She put some goals together, and she worked towards them with the 4 pieces. And I will send you, for you to post, a PDF or JPEG file that explains this even in more detail, because it really does work. I've worked with kids as young as 5 and 6 years old who can use I am, I have, I can, I do. And it's really exciting when people buy into it and start to act on it. They're like, oh, this works. Yes. So what I'm doing with those 4 key phrases is reducing people's sense of helplessness and hopelessness, where they go, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do a thing. As opposed to the issue owning you, you start to own the issue. And when you own the issue, things get better. Perfect? No. Better? Yes. I was once told in a clinic that had 2,500 patients, there was only 7 of us they thought were truly happy. I said, well, I've got a chronic illness. My gut's all bloated. One of my high school friends, who was normally really respectful, but we shared health issues, how we had sick relatives, and nothing we said went past. It was just great to have somebody that I trusted that deeply. And she said to me one day, Michael, it looks like you're 4 months pregnant. How bad does that hurt? I said, it's unbearable, but I refuse to stop having a life. I'm trying to eat well, exercise well, have some joyful moments. By the way, don't wait to be happy. Go out and do something that makes you happy. As long as it's legal and it's safe for others, go out and do something that makes you happy. I like to read. I used to read serious things most of the time. The older I get, no, I want some happiness. I read a murder mystery that's pretty silly, but really interesting and well written. I read a travel blog. I read a book about architecture. Things that are interesting, not necessarily necessary for my career, but it's good for my head and my heart, because it makes life more interesting and more full.
Okay, breaking it down like that makes it feel achievable, not overwhelming. So, my next question about sometimes people feel completely lost, unsure of their strengths or direction. How do you help someone discover their inner power when they are facing such overwhelming uncertainty?
Good question. Very good question. So I one of the things I do is I call myself a tour guide in that when people feel lost, they don't know where they are. So I developed the resiliency model that's very basic because I wanted a resiliency model at the basic level that I can help a 5-year-old understand what's going on at a basic level. So I have it, it's shaped like a T. At the bottom of the T, things happen. Good things, bad things, annoying things, boring things, but things happen. Fair enough. But it comes down to when that thing happens, as I explained earlier, does the issue own you or do you own the issue? I've seen people get so upset about the bus being 4 minutes late. And yes, you're going to work, but whose fault is it that you got to the bus for a 20-minute trip on the bus with only 6 minutes to get to work? That's not the bus driver's fault. He can't help being late by 4 minutes because traffic was bad. And yet they rant and rave and all this energy into something that's not in their control. So first of all, what can you control? That man came from a house, he lived alone, so he can't blame anybody else about spending too much time in the bathroom getting ready. Did he stay up too late? Did he watch too much online media? Anyways, what can you manage? Manage it. What do you have to give away out of your control? I can't control the weather, but I've gone out of my way to have good footwear for dry, hot, wet, and yucky, and I live in Canada, and snowy and really cold. And I attempt to shop wisely, so I have a coat for the winter that's good for 40 below. Doesn't happen very often. But if I don't have that and we have a 30 below day or 20 below day, if I don't have that coat, how am I supposed to get to work with a client? I got to get there. So part of being stuck is what can you manage? What can you control? What do you have to acknowledge that you can't manage? But in my case, for example, footwear for dry and hot, footwear for wet and gooey, and footwear for really cold and windy. So I go to my way to shop for that. And the footwear for wet and gooey is getting old, but it still works. It's just no longer pretty. It's tired. So I'm starting to look at the sale pages because I don't want to pay full price. My dad used to tell me that you pay full price when you got a lot of money and nothing better to do, or you pay full price when it's an emergency. Otherwise, you wait for the right price. So I've been known to buy winter footwear that wasn't my favorite color, but do you want footwear that's 1/3 of the normal price, or footwear that's your favorite color at full price? I took the 1/3 price. So when we feel stuck, what can you manage? What can you change? What can you ask for help? And what do you absolutely have to give away? And for my Canadian friends born here that complain about the weather a lot, it's like, then move. Canada has 7 climate zones. Don't stay in this one. Oh, but there it rains too much there. It's too cold there. It's too windy there. Maybe you should go to the moon then. So those 4 things. What can you manage? What can you give away? What can you change? And what's you acknowledge, but it's out of your control. So you just acknowledge it and get on with life.
Okay, that's powerful. Even small realizations can spark major transformation. So, fear and failure are universal experiences, yet they often hold us back. How can someone transform those emotions into opportunities for growth instead of letting them paralyze progress?
Good question, because fear and failure are big deals. We've all had that want to pull the covers over our head, not get out of bed because today's the day and we feel like we're going to fail. So fear and failure, we have to be careful because that can lead to us feeling bitter as opposed to better. So again, what's the issue? How will you manage it? How will you acknowledge it? What are the resources you need to cope with it? Who can you talk to that's lived through it already? Like my chronic health issue, I found somebody that had been living with it for 40 years. It's not fun, Michael, but the first step to doing better is acknowledging you've got the illness. Second step, don't stay angry. I don't know about you, he said, but I got my diagnosis at 14. 14-year-old me would have been angry that you didn't get it till 17. You had 3 more years of health compared to me. What a waste of energy getting angry that I got a disease. You're allowed to have it for a couple of 3 days, but he said, I meet people at the clinic that had it for 40 years and they're angry every day. Well, that's a lot of energy. That's not fixing things. He said if they spend half their energy that they have with being angry with working on best possible diet, exercise, things to lower or reduce your stress, those things all help us reduce our fear. And I don't know, have you heard of the acronym for fear, F-E-A-R? In English, fear, false expectations appearing real. So when I had my chronic health issues, will I be able to do the presentation in class today? Because with this bowel disease, sometimes I get zero notice that I have to go to the bathroom and have to run out. That'll be really embarrassing. My bowel disease means my stomach, my body makes a lot of weird noises and I smell really bad sometimes. So when I got used to that's who the new me was, it was like all annoying, but why am I angry? The anger doesn't make it better. So how about acceptance? Forgive myself that this happened. I don't think it's my fault, but I'm going to forgive myself anyways and just do what I can to get on. So all my teachers knew that I had the issue, and they all knew that if I had to run out, it's because the bathroom break was necessary. So it got easier, reduced my fear, and that made it better. I still had a few failures along the way, but life was much, much better because I forgave myself. And as I said earlier, the I am, I have, I can, I do, helped me reduce my sense of failure. And then owning the issue instead of the issue owning me, it all helps.
Okay, so now my last question about what would you give advice for audience and for me who watching you?
What advice? Okay. I think one of the biggest things is be careful what you see online and believing and not believing it. Number one. Number two, who can you trust? Having 2, 3, 4 people you can trust and have really good conversations with, and the conversations are safe. Like my friend from high school, she was a girl that was a friend. She wasn't a girlfriend. And so it was great. We could sit down and have adult conversations at 14 or 15. Tell me about life. Oh, you got a sick relative here. Oh, you got a sick relative there. Or this teacher, is it just me? Or do you have a hard time with them? This teacher here, aren't they amazing? And did you notice how good they are at talking to us, even though we're much younger than them, with so much respect? And their class is so interesting. I want to be like that when I get older. So having a couple of people you can trust and share with are really important. Having a network, 1 or 2 are good, but 3 or 4 are better. And you can't have them all for the same thing. I had a musical friend, and Dawn was probably 3 years older than me. So when it came to playing in the concert band and the symphony band, Dawn was my fellow student, but he was my advisor because he was so wise with music. I think my marks went up 10% when I started learning from him outside of the classroom just casually. So I had a music advisor. I had a couple of friends that were exceptionally good athletically in physical education class. So I had them. Were they best friends? No. But in the moment for a couple of years, they were remarkable. So take a look at how have you structured your life? And then I got a part-time job, and I had two wonderful, loving parents at 16, 17. But then I used to call the people at the hardware store, my hardware store, mom and dad. It was a small company of 3 people. And George and Ev, the owners, I was their honorary son. They took good care of me. They helped refine my communication skills. They love my energy and communication skills. And so who can you, if you can, be blessed to find somebody to nurture you or mentor you. In my case, I even got paid because it was a job. That really helps uplift you in your life.
Okay, thank you so much for giving amazing advice. So and that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Maryam Talk Show. I want to thank Michael for sharing such incredible insights and inspiring story about building relations. So I hope you take just one lesson, one practice, or even one small action from today conservation and start applying in your life. So goodbye everyone. Thank you for listening and until next time, stay strong and take care. And thank you so much, Michael, for giving up precious all
Thank
time
you.
and giving a podcast. Nice to meet you. Take
Nice
care.
to be met. Thank you for a good interview.